Hey you guys, and welcome to my April wrap up. I read 16 books last month. Awesomeness. Okay, so for a moment there I didn't think I was going to be able to record this video. It is late and I was like, I should just hammer this out. But then I was like, no, I'm uploading my book haul for Monday. But then I was like, oh my god, you guys, I found my old SD card. So you guys know. I'm so happy to have two SD cards now. I'm sorry. It's like 11:20. I'm old and tired. So, the first book that I read last month was The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. And I know a majority of you guys have probably read this book before, but if not, you guys, it follows this boy pony brother who lives with his two brothers, both older, and it just kind of follows like and this different social clashes of the time, because it's been a while, and they talk about like he is a greaser, which is kind of like the poor people, and then they have the socials, which is kind of the rich people. And you know, the socials are always attacking him and his friends, the social group and stuff. Well, anyway, they get into trouble and stuff like this, but it was really amazing, and I don't want to spoil too much. So 5 out of 5 stars. Definitely you guys should check it out, and I'll leave my wrap up down below for the hashtag a year-thon if anyone wants to check it out, because I think I talked about it a little bit more. But yes, this is a must read. The next book that I read was another reread as well, because that was a hashtag a year-thon's theme last month, and this one is The Fall by Garth Nix, and this is the first book in the 7th Tower series, and this is a middle grade series, and there are 6 books in all. And this follows Tal, and he has always lived in this big castle in which there have always been different classes of like people. Well, there are like, I think 6 different colors that are used in this book. But anyway, he is an orange, and basically in this tower, light is a thing. Like they have like these, I'm gonna say magic rings or whatever, that gives you like, and you can use the light to make different stuff and be different stuff. And Tal is an orange, which is one step below ahead of a red, and a red is the lowest you can get before you become an underfolk, which is basically like all their servants and stuff. So basically when you're a kid in this world, you get a shadow guard, and the shadow guard kind of protects you from infancy up until the age of like 13, in which you cross over into the spirit world and your spirit guard is released, and you yourself have to capture a shadow something. It was like one step above a shadow guard or whatever, and then you are an adult in this world essentially. But in order to cross over to Ansar or whatever it's called, you have to have this big shadow stone, which is usually what one of the parents in the family have. And his father is dead, and his mother is like sick and dying, and so the big sunstone disappeared with his father, and his mother's is not well enough to take her and the whole family to Asnar. No one really wants to help them because there are conspiracies against him for some reason. So he decides to go and try to steal one, and he decides to climb to the Hollis Tower and get one, but he falls from the tower and lands in this world of just like different from his own, because it's so dark out there and cold, and he has never felt cold because he has never been out of this castle before, and he meets like these Viking ice warriors and people, and just go on this whole big adventure. And I really enjoyed it, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. And I feel like if you are going to read this book series, then you should just get all 6 books and read them back to back, because each of these books are like 200 pages at the most. The biggest one was like 230 to 250, and they're middle grade. So like when I was younger, it was kind of like a whole book in a way, but like when I got older, it was like I need more now. And they each kind of hang on a cliffhanger. I don't even know where that's from. Okay, but you guys get what I'm saying. I'm gonna move on because it took me too long to explain that. The next book is The Giver by Lois Lowry. And of course I gave this is another reread, and I gave this another 5 out of 5 stars because I've been rereading this for like ever. And this one follows this boy Jonah, who lives in the semi-idyllic community where everything has its place and stuff, and everyone is like given a job, and his job was to be like a giver. And it's really good. I feel like you should just go into it knowing just the bare minimum of that, and it's really like kind of challenges you on like, you know, how far would you go for like a kind of utopia society, I believe. And I really, really enjoyed reading it again, especially before the movie comes out. That movie does not look like a good book to movie adaptation. It looks like a nice movie if it had nothing to do with The Giver, if it was just inspired by it. But yeah. So the next book that I read was A Matter of Necessity by T.D. McKinnon. And I read it on the Kindle, which is why I'm just going to hold this up until it does. And it was another reread. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. And it follows these two FBI officers who are undercover getting this, like, really bad guy, is just what I'm going to go with. And they have to kind of pretend to be in love with each other because he will only trust, like, other gay couples. And so they're pretending, or rather. And then turns out one guy has a crush on the other, and like they have to do stuff, and they talk about it when they get back. And then we don't really get to see how their relationship develops, which is kind of what I'm thinking, but because we missed like 6 months, and then we just deal with the whole aftermath of everything, because basically they're kind of in that bubble for 6 months, and then we have to see how they deal with it when they get back to their jobs and their life and stuff like that. And I actually really enjoyed it, and it was good, and I gave it another 5 out of 5 stars. And I always wanted more from this. Sorry, it's really hot in here. I always wanted more from this book. Like, I really wanted to know more about the beginning of the relationship, maybe just a short story, maybe some more after. I want more. Okay, person who made this book, just let me have more. The next book that I read was a short free story called Dr. Doctor by Scarlett Cox. Okay. Look me in the face right now. And this is how I reacted. I just don't. Oh, man. I'm done. And basically that was it. Okay, this book was, I don't know, it was free. And it had some words that I hadn't actually seen in an actual published book before. I'd never seen it out of fan fiction. And even in fan fiction, it doesn't come across like that. It was free, and don't do it unless you're really, really old. And don't check this out unless you're 18 or older. Don't check out this book unless you're 18 or older. I just can't deal with it now. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars because it wasn't bad. Just. Okay. So the next book that I read was Castle, and it was the second book in the Seven Tower series. And then I read the third book, Ansar, and then I read the fourth book, Above the Veil, and then I read the fifth book, Into Battle, and then I read the sixth book, The Violet Keystone. So it was a whole bunch of awesomeness. All of them were 5 out of 5 stars. And then I read Ball and Chain by Abigail Rowe, and this is the 8th book in the Cut and Run series. And I was, okay, so I got what people were complaining about with this book. This series follows Ty and Zane. Okay, Ty and Zane. This does nothing have to do with Nick and Kelly, who I love. But we saw way too much of them in this book, and it was like, I love you guys, but you guys have your own spin-off series, okay? After this, there's only one more Ty and Zane book, and you want more Ty and Zane, and it felt like it was a whole bunch, like they were showing the story, and Nick was sort of like a little bit more of the main focus than I wanted him to be, but it was interesting. We got to see some stuff. There was definitely some retconning of like past history between some stuff, not that I minded as much as other people seem to, but I'm just sad that we don't get to see more. But the premise of this book was that they were all on the island, and of course there was a killer, because who doesn't like a little bit of Agatha Christie, and then there were none thrown in and some stuff. People love that book. And I love this book, and so I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Then the next book that I read was Pole Star by Josephine Miles, and if I were to show you this cover, it wouldn't leave much to another imagination. It was another free short novel, and follows this guy, and he's a stripper, and he gets hurt or whatever, and he has to go to the emergency room, and he's flirting with this doctor. And the only thing is, this doctor thinks he is a firefighter, and after Doctor, I was just like, oh God, why am I doing this to myself? But it turns out this one was actually really good, and they had personalities that were developed, and if anything, I just wished it was a little bit more fleshed out, and in the end, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and it was good. The next book that I have to talk about is Mission X by Kim Allen. It was another short story. It was longer than the last 2, and it follows this guy whose name I currently don't remember. But anyway, he got out of a bad relationship, and then something really bad happened, and his friend's boss rescued him, and he doesn't remember anything, and he's just too embarrassed to meet his friend's boss ever. And his friend thinks that the friend thinks that him and the boss would be like a really cute couple or whatever, so she kind of schemes to get them together with the boss's knowledge but not with the main guy's knowledge. So it turned out really, really good, and I ended up giving it a 5 out of 5 stars, and just had that wish that it was a little bit long, like just wanted to know more about their lives and how it turned out. But otherwise, they both had well-rounded personalities and just awesomeness. The next book that I read was To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han, and this was just like pure like whimsicalness. I just don't know, but I'm like having a hard time. Like, there's gonna be another book, and I have to wait a whole year to find out what happens. So this follows this girl, Laura Jean, and she always writes these love letters to these boys that she have crushes on, I guess we could say. And she writes down their address for some weird reason when she seals them up and puts them in her hat box. And then one day she discovers that all the letters were mailed off. So that's where the story starts, and she's just kind of controlled, So we meet Peter, who she wrote a letter to, and he's kind of our main focus, and I really did like him. I just had a few problems with like some other stuff that was going on in his life. And then we had Josh, who is her older sister's ex-boyfriend, who she used to have a crush on, and yeah, that was really like, that was kind of funny. It just made this whole weird triangle between her and her sister's not in here for most of this. She had went off to college and had dumped Josh, so we see that in the beginning, so I'm not saying anything spoilery, but it was just weird a little bit, that one, because you don't know exactly how to feel about stuff. But I really, really enjoyed this book, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, and I can't wait for the second book, because I can't even talk to correctly express my awesomeness. This book. Awesomeness. So the next book that I read was Jet by Jay Cronover. And okay, so you guys absolutely know that I think Rule, the first book in the Markman series, is just the epitome of perfection. I mean, Rule and Shaw are like that couple that I love because I like them both equally. Like, I can't imagine them with anyone else but each other. Like, they were written perfectly, everything. They didn't annoy me or anything. I just loved them. If anything, I felt for them the whole book. Like, seriously, I'm gonna reread that book again and I need to do a review. But in Jet, I didn't like the girl. I'm sorry. Like, we see her in the first book. She is Shaw's best friend, and her name is Aiden. They call her Ad. I think it's Aiden because it's spelled A-Y-D, and so that's how I pronounce it. So if there's a different way, let me know. I think my friend said something different, but I can't remember. And then Jet. And they've been kind of like having the house for each other for like a long, long time at this point, and they finally just decide to give in. And I'm just like, this whole book, Jet, you could do better. Because Aiden, they both have some personal issues, okay? But she thinks it excuses everything. Like, I can't do this because, and it's like the secret, and you know how the secrets are in these books a lot of times. It's like stupid, and it's stupid that she's like keeping it from him, because I pretty much guessed it in the first book, and having explained in this one, it wasn't that eye-opening. But like what she decides to do, and everyone's telling him that he should be the fighter for this relationship and stuff, and I'm just like, no, at one point she's gonna have to do something that like makes me like her, like that will make me get over this, and she doesn't, and so I don't like her. I don't. Like, me and my friend who brought this book, we are in agreement, we don't like her that much. Just know, like, she was annoying, and she didn't make any like sacrifice towards it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. so sad that I gave you a 4 out of 5, but I did love Jet, and I actually did kind of love, like, you know, just a lot of angst, but I enjoyed it still, and I still recommend that you would read it, and just yeah. So the last book that I read was called Love the Sinner by Avriel Ashton, and I got it on my Kindle. It was like one of those Kindle books that I really just wanted to buy. And anyway, this follows this detective, Gabe, and he is interviewing this criminal, Angelo, who I'm just going to call him Angel, and he's like this really big criminal overlord, and there is a spark between them. Of course there is. And it's like instant lust, instant love, instant everything. It doesn't happen like right off the bat to them, but to us it does, because they see each other and there's a connection. And then it's like a little while later, and like, so Gabe gets shot or whatever, and it kind of sets off different things. And I'm just saying that between this detective and this criminal, there is something like happening. And I like the fact that even though it was kind of insta lovey, that they actually dealt with the issues of him being a cop and him being a criminal, and how this will put obstacles in the relationship. Because if they just rolled over that, I would have been looking at them like, oh no, you're crazy. But I really got into it more towards the end. But there is one thing that happened in this thing, and it happens in a lot of where there's any romance trope. Like, it was just one of the biggest romance tropes, like, from Harlequin novels that I read. And I was just like, I hate that trope. I hate that trope so much, because I either will love it or hate it. In the book with each couple, it's different. And in this one, I was just kind of like, like flip-floppity on it. I was just like, it was driving me insane. But I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5. And I already read the sample for the second book in the Brooklyn Center series. It follows a different couple, but I'm already feeling like I'm gonna like it even more. So I'm debating whether to get it right now. So those are all the books that I read for April. And let's see, my favorite book, I guess, I mean, there's just so many, because a lot of them were sequels or rereads, and I think it's gonna have to go to, since I gave To All the Boys I Loved Before 5 out of 5 stars, I guess I'll go with it. Technically it was more like a 4.5, but you can do high stars on things, so I just rolled it over to there. But it's actually not the book that had the most quotable stuff for me. So I'm going to show you like some of my favorite quotes, and they were from Jet. Okay, you guys, this just had so many quotes from both characters. I was just like, what? It says, aren't all the best songs about a girl? It doesn't matter if it's metal, if it's country, if it's the blues or rock and roll. All the songs that make us remember and make us want to sing along are about the best kind of girl. The kind you can't live without, but can't get a hold of. And then there's just like, what I really wanted to do was to get my guitar and find some place quiet alone where I could write the saddest songs ever about a girl who simply didn't want what I had to give her. And then like, sometimes things need to change because there just isn't any way for them to stay the same. So those are some of my favorite quotes, and you guys leave me down some of your favorite quotes for some of the April books for some of the books that you read in April, or how many books did you guys read in April. I am like currently 2 books behind on my Goodreads goal, which is better than the 10 to 12 that I usually am. So you guys let me know all your favorite books down below. Did you get a new favorite couple or anything? Just let me know, and I will see you guys later. Bye.